But what was it about you that gravitated toward the ambition of more, just more?
I mean, I don't know. I think just being a dreamer, I guess. You know, I mean, I don't like you just wanting to be seeing that it's possible. I also feel like businesses are kind of like when you write material in that the adventure, the possibility that it goes well or poorly is what's exciting. Like I just opened a bakery. I don't know if you know this.
I do know this. I've been told that it's quite the passion project of yours.
But like people are like, you know, it's funny because some people will go like, we'll see it as like, is this a cash grab? And you're like, huh? A cash grab? A bakery? Like the thrill of it is that it really is. I feel like the whole thing is adventurous, and in that I met somebody at their bakery in LA. I'd always talked about how much I love croissants, pastries, and everything. And a guy literally was like, "Oh, best croissants in LA, go here." I went there, I try it, and I'm like, "These are unbelievable." And I just developed a rapport with this guy, like as a fan. Like if you go to your favorite coffee place, you guys have the best coffee, just like that. And over the years, I kept talking to this guy, and I was like, almost like it's a fantasy. Like I want to do this movie. You go like, I would love to open a place where I live in Austin, but like with your croissants and pastries. And then one day he's like, yeah, we could do that. And I'm like, really? You would move to Austin, Texas from LA? He's like, yeah. And then you know, it becomes an adventure. The whole thing is an adventure where you're talking about the plate, you're looking for the place to put it in, then you're hiring designers, you're designing the menu, like all these steps, I get a rush out of it. Like it's a thrill to go like, oh, this is gonna be a real thing. And I feel like when you're in business of something like that, you have to feel like ultimately the product is what's gonna sell. Like I'm not gonna give some speech that will convince you. But ever since we have a pop-up location now, and I get messages every day, and people are like, yo, these are unbelievable. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I did it, man. Because I wanted people to try this thing that I love. And so, I don't know. I just feel like that's the thrill. The thrill is in having the idea and trying to make it happen.
How did you end up in Austin? What was the decision-making involved?
Pandemic. I've been in LA. I was in LA 19 years. When you travel as much as I do, you know, you always have that thing sometimes where you come home from the weekend of touring. You go, you know what was awesome? Denver. I fucking love it. And you start talking about it. And then eventually Christina would always be like, you know, we're not moving to Denver, right? And I'd be like, oh yeah. And she's a lifelong Angelino. So she would just go like, it's not... She's like, we're never leaving here. And I just kind of was like, yeah, sure. You know, plus like we work in entertainment, makes sense. The pandemic, particularly in Los Angeles, was such a disaster, like how it was managed. That the funny thing was that I wasn't the lead on We Should Leave. I just accepted like, this is what's happening. She was the one, which was like the huge surprise. She was like, we got to get out of here. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, like there's National Guard on the corner. They're busing the homeless and people from like institutions into the park. And they're like, live in the park. They're also like chaining, like they're locking up all the playground stuff so that no one goes to play with. And our kids were very young. She's like, we got to get out of here. And I was like, I'll move. I still like love LA, by the way. I love a lot about LA, but that was the motivation. And then it was like, where are we going to move? So there was only like a few places to consider. Austin was a place where I had toured a bunch. You know, over the years, you always would hit the city, and we always just enjoyed the city. It was like, this is a great city. I always have fun here. It was a good comedy scene, great people, etc. And by that time, I'd known a few people that moved. So you're like, I know a few people there. Visited. It was so hard to find a house because on your flight to Austin from LA, the realtor would be like, we're going to show you 10 houses today. And you would land and they were like, yeah, 6 of them sold during your flight. And you're like, and so it took like all these trips, but eventually we found one and people were just very, it's a very like welcoming place. Kids love it. It's turned out to be a great move.
You mentioned both kids are under 10, right?
One's 10 and
Okay.
one is 7. Yeah.
Are you too busy? How does presence at home manifest with kids of that age, given the opportunities that you have? All of your dreams are coming true professionally, right?
Well, yeah, now I'm going to cry. It's been tough. I feel like there's a real lessons in there about like how to create balance, and it's all been on me for like how much stuff I want to do versus being there. I've never been around more than I have like the last several months because I'm off tour and I finished shooting and now I'm home like almost every day, and you can see how much better it, like I'm happier, they're happier. Yeah. I would go on these crazy tours where I would just leave for just I wouldn't leave you always come back, but you're home for like 2-3 days. And if they're in school, you see them for an hour.
Just do a podcast with them so you can rekindle what you did with your wife, where every week you check in and you just connect superficially across from microphones while daddy makes money for grandma.
Dude, it's been so much fun in this last year, really, of like hanging out with them more and realizing how much I was missing out on things.
Oh, it dawned on you? I thought, wow, you were coming home and they were more grown up, right?
Well, you could just see that, like, I mean, you could feel it too, that they're like, oh yeah, you're leaving right now? Because you leave a lot. And you're like, yeah. And then the real lesson, I think, or where it hits you the hardest isn't when you're gone, because sometimes you're gone, you're like, I really miss them. It's when you're there and you spend like 5 days together just doing things that you're like, oh wow, I'm missing this all the time. That's when it, I think, hits you the most, is when you're actually doing stuff with them and then you're like, I can't believe I'm missing this all the time.
I would think that there are certain things to being a comedian that just sort of inherently make you more selfish than a parent needs to be. Just the chasing of laughs, funny, me, solo act, I'm responsible for.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And then you by the nature of the job, you do leave. You have to leave. People are always like, why don't you bring them with you? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like when they were what, 5 and 7? Just, hey guys, we're going to hit the road. Like that's not a possible thing to do. So what you can do though is, and this has been another lesson, is like you can create the schedule that kind of is more balanced and benefits everybody.
It requires you saying no to things though that you've always wanted.
That's exactly it. That's where the lesson lies, is that there's so much power in no, and it's like you're when you're saying yes to this, you're saying no to them. So it's like, where's your no going to go? And so, yeah, you have to turn things down. You have to turn work down, but it's not, you realize that like, yeah, I when I started to say no is when I realized like, yeah, I don't feel bad about that.
Oh, but somewhere in you has to be the guy who from 2010 and 2014 was just scared. He's always in there somewhere.
Yeah, because you're always terrified. You're working so hard to try to get somewhere, to get a ticket sold, that when you get to the point where you're selling tickets, you can't believe it. And your mind also does this thing where it's like, it's going to end. Like you're not going to sell tickets forever, which is not untrue. Like you have a window of time where you're in demand. And so you also feel like I have to try to capitalize on the fact that I can do this right now.